Gabrielle Kim, Jin Young Park, and Elite. What these characters have in common is that they are all part from a lost era, where war and bloodshed thrived, the pre-generation era. In today's video, we tackle all the characters in the Zeroth generation, explaining their fighting styles, their life, and their legacies. But before everything, according to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. So if you like what I make, please consider subscribing. It's free and it helps me out a ton, and you can always change your mind later. With that being said, I'll be explaining all the Zeroth generation characters in Lookism. Starting with the one who led it all. Gabrielle Kim was the figurehead of Korea's Dragon Fist gang. It's unknown for why he got into the life of violence in the first place, but it is known that he formed the gang to stop a certain evil. In the series, he's recognized as the most powerful character in terms of fighting, not only by us, but also by the characters in the series, recognizing him as the peak of strength in Lookism. In his lifetime, he's fought against several opponents, one of them being Min-sik Choi, the trash of the Zeroth generation. He's the father of one of the series' most beloved characters, Jae Kim, and passed away due to suspected betrayal by Charles Choi and James Lee. Many aspects of Gabrielle's life are still unknown, and a mystery to us readers. But just by how prevalent he is in the story even after his passing shows how much of a big deal he was, leaving certain mysteries behind like Jae Kim's brother, and who was the great evil. After defeating the said great evil, he lived a life of supposed redemption, and in his later days opted to try to take a career in politics, which was not very well received due to his gang history. Though known to be troublesome and reckless, there's no doubt that Gabrielle Kim was known for being the strongest. Charles Choi, also known as Elite, joined the Dragon Fist gang alongside Gabrielle as its vice head. A calculative and bold attitude, Elite is known to be one, if not the best strategic mind in all of Lookism, surpassing the likes of Kochi or Eugene. His mind is not to be trifled with, as he was able to formulate a plan to allow him to from being a janitor at a detention center to being a chairman of Korea's biggest conglomerate. Though recognized for his genius, he's no pushover either, as his fighting skills and reactive speed combined with his intelligence were so infamous back in the days of the Zeroth generation that he was said to be an equal with Gabrielle Kim in terms of fighting. It's implied that he somehow backstabbed and murdered Gabrielle with the help of his alleged disciple, James Lee. His style consists of a fast-paced hit-and-evade-first type of fighting in which he developed so much that he ascended his abilities and gained a whole new type of attack that has only been seen once in their generation, the invisible attack. Unattacked to the blind spot at blinding speeds, it was said to be seen invisible. Later in his lifetime, he somehow loses his arm, which is one of the Lookism's mysteries. He formed the four major crews alongside Tom Lee, Gu Kim, Gun Yamazaki, and James Lee. With the dirty income coming from the illegal businesses via the four major crews, he started the HNH group, growing it to be one of the most powerful conglomerates in all of Korea, making him a self-established chaebol. After a few years, when the dust settled, he had a daughter named Crystal Choi. He's said to be the final big bad of the series, so we'll just have to wait and see what he does next. Jin Young Park. Considered to be on par with Elite in both abilities and stature, Jin Young Park is the action leader of the Dragon Fist gang. Being from the pre-generation, his fighting abilities are second to none, only being under Gabrielle Kim himself. What makes him so special is that he's the user of the 1 in a million ability Copy, in where he's able to perfectly copy both the technique and its power, regardless of what it is. The reason why he stands out so much even in the midst of all these amazing fighters is because of his ability to adapt and make use of his copy in the most efficient way possible. Basically having a cheat code, he went around Korea gaining experience and adding in all sorts of new moves to his arsenal, even being able to copy the likes of Gabrielle Kim. Later down the line, he experienced a deep tragedy, leading him to develop PTSD. It's said the reason why his mental health declined so immensely is because during the assassination of Gabrielle Kim, he failed to protect him, blaming himself for Gabrielle Kim's death. In his later life, he needs the assistance of pills in order to stay sane and decides to work for Eugene's first affiliate of the workers. We then discover the reason why he made this decision is because he's also an advocate for Charles Choi's defeat. He alone knows the weakness of Charles Choi and needs the assistance of Eugene to make it happen. In the story, it was also said that he was close friends with Daniel Park's dad, but the community speculates that Jin Young is actually the father of Daniel Park. Whatever the circumstance may be, we cannot deny his importance to the story, as well as the legacy he's left behind, as the 0th generation's copy genius. As for the Dragon Fist Gang's heavy hitter, Tom Lee was a beggar in the 0th generation, begging for scraps and money until Gaprion came and held his hand out for him. He was then recruited into Gaprion's gang, becoming one of the most trusted companions, not only in fighting but also as a reliable friend. Known for his brutal way of fighting, his reputation precedes his generation, being known by names like Major General, Fighting Prodigy, King of the Underworld, and so much more. His reputation isn't just for show though, as he's shown his ability through fighting Lookism heavy hitters like Manager Kim, Gun, and Gu, with the outcome seeming relative. It's unknown what his contributions were to Gaprion's death, but it's speculated that he was present during the moment because Jin Young Park blames him for Gaprion's death. Although Jin Young said this while he was intoxicated, we're still not sure of the credibility of this information. Around his early 50s, he took in a young Eli Chang and raised him to be the man he is today. Being recognized as Mr. Carpenter, he was also ordered to train both Gun and Gu at Charles Choi's orders. Although being blamed by Jin Young Park, it's obvious that he holds him in very high regard, regarding him as boss and such. Although questionable in his ways, we simply cannot ignore the strength of Tom Lee, the ultimate king. If Gaprion saw his innate potential from the start, we the viewers surely think of him as the undisputed fighting genius. For the sword of Gaprion Kim, not much is known about Baek-ho Kwon, as he hasn't been that fleshed out at this point of the story. But this video is called the 0 Generation Characters in Lookism, so let's dive in. Very little is documented about his fighting abilities during his prime, and even less so than Gaprion Kim, who stood as the central figure of their generation. However, it is widely acknowledged that his relationship with Gaprion mirrored that of Jerry Kwon and Jae Kim. Jerry was noted for his superior physical strength, attack prowess, and durability compared to Jake. Despite mastering the fundamentals of boxing and displaying impressive speed, Jerry never initiated any attacks against Jake, who, with the superior speed and skill, consistently emerged victorious in their counters. Drawing parallels, it can be inferred that while Baek-ho Kwon may have possessed greater physical strength, attack potency, and durability than Gaprion Kim, the latter's superior speed and skill would likely secure his victory in a hypothetical confrontation, especially considering Baek-ho's reluctance to engage in combat. Furthermore, a passage in the chapter 456 depicts Jae-suno, a formidable strongman expressing regret and lamenting his fate for having to face not fighting just anyone but Baek-ho Kwon's son, underscoring Baek-ho Kwon's formidable reputation for his strength. His whereabouts during Gaprion Kim's death haven't been disclosed as of yet, but it's highly possible that he was there to defend Gaprion Kim as of his final act of his loyalty to his captain. There's not much to talk about him as of right now, but one of the things for sure is that Baek-ho Kwon's loyalty stands proud as the sword of Gaprion Kim. Nobaku is the driver of Gaprion Kim and is the substitute caretaker of Jae Kim. Nobaku's abilities as a person from the pre-generation far exceeds most of the second, and he's at the lower ladder of the spectrum. His most formidable qualities is his loyalty to both Gaprion Kim and Jin Young Park, as well as his overwhelming sense of justice. Later down his life, he ends up in Chungcheong, spending his older days fighting against Charles Choi in secret. But when Daniel Park visits the Loni province, we get a glimpse of what his peak was like, being able to deflect both attacks from a heated up Chi Chang Kwok and a second body Ultra Instinct Daniel. Though his death was tragic, it was not in vain, as he was able to give the necessary data to Daniel Park. Loyalty, justice, and humility are the values Nobaku held his whole life. May he rest in peace, knowing that his work was not for naught. Bonghae Choi, also known as Lightning Choi, the dark horse of the Dragon Fist gang, Bonghae Choi was at the start all talk and no fight, similar to someone we know. But as time progressed and being in an era where fighting was a needed preset, he was able to truly become a dark horse, being revealed in one of the hardest panels of Lookism. His personality is an outgoing boomer with an ozang sense of fashion, though reckless, shown through his willingness to help Jake to take down Charles Troy despite being turned crippled. This only shows his dedication for a better future even more, helping finish what he and his friends couldn't. It is unknown if he has anything to do with Gabrion Kim's death, but it is speculated that he possesses knowledge about Jake's brother, the former king of Seoul. One of the main fighting forces in Gabrion Kim's gang, Gwang Yu was known for his prideful demeanor, as mentioned in Lookism's 488th chapter, where he states how low the Dragon Fist gang has fallen. But most of all, his most recognizable feat is said to be the invention of the ultra-versatile fighting style known as MMA. It's stated by him during his fight with Zack that the style back then was unknown and unheard of, only being used by him. But later generations became known as MMA. With that being the case, of course, striking and kicking are part of his versatile arsenal, but where he shines most is his grappling abilities. Having years upon years of experience, he's able to joint lock in seconds, being able to make use of his whole body to knock out his opponent. His contributions to Gabrion Kim's death are still unknown, but since during Prime he worked for Charles Troy and later on Tom Lee, I theorize that he simply turned a blind eye to the events of the murder. Byul-gu Lee, a formidable figure within the 0th generation, has cultivated a reputation for strength, allegedly claiming victory over Tae-Soo Ma in his prime, before experiencing defeat at the hands of James Lee, resulting in a loss of his eye. However, scrutiny arises when his reaction to Tae-Soo's fighting style in episode 454 suggests a lack of familiarity, casting a doubt on his previous assertions. Drawing from his previous experiences as a street vendor, Byul-gu Lee has refined the art of deception to a fine craft. He meticulously researches his opponents, utilizing his keen observation skills and adept lying skills to fabricate narratives that undermine their confidence and morale. This psychological warfare serves as a prelude to his physical dominance, allowing him to toy with and ultimately crush his adversaries who have been psychologically weakened. Since most people in the pre-generation were a part of Gabrion Kim's gang, here's the little bit of people that weren't part of it, starting with Shigeaki Kyojima and Hiroaki Kojima, the forgotten siblings of Hideo Kojima. These two hail from the Yamazaki clan all the way from Japan. It's unknown how they ended up in Korea, but we do know one thing, and that's they somehow got convinced to protect Xianliang's shaman, Shin Young-cheon. Jin Mu-jin is the last name of the pre-generation. Although recently revealed, his legacy carries on through both Vinjin and Song Ji-yuk. Absolutely none is known about the guy as of right now, but it is speculated that his strength rivals that of Gabrion Kim, even being recognized as his equal. In the future, we'll see more of these guys for sure, but as of now, we'll have to wait. And that's it for today's video. If you have any other generations in Lookism you guys want me to cover, feel free to comment down below. And so yeah.